Hello and welcome. It's 10 a.m. on Friday, the 31st of October. You're tuned in to our mid-morning newscast here on Arirang TV. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. I'm Mark Broome. Let's take a look at what's making the headlines. The proposed date for the two Koreas to sit down for high-level talks has passed, but most experts say they expect officials from Seoul and Pyongyang to meet before the year is out. Korea's finance minister says recently introduced economic stimulus measures are starting to yield positive results, but much more needs to be done for the effects to trickle down to the people. Plus, as the situation worsens in Sierra Leone, the World Bank gives $100 million to support the deployment of more health workers to Ebola-stricken West Africa. Our top story this morning, South Korea's proposed date for high-level inter-Korean talks came and went on Thursday, with officials from both sides staying put in their respective capitals. While some say North Korea's unwillingness to talk shows a lack of sincerity, others say they still expect lines of dialogue to reopen in the coming weeks before the end of the year. Our Hwang Sang-hee starts us off.
The much-anticipated high-level talks did not happen Thursday, and instead the two Koreas remained wide apart. Both sides had agreed to hold the meeting sometime between late October and early November, upon a surprise visit to the south by a high-level North Korean delegation earlier this month.
From North Korea's stance, the three officials were dispatched with the aim of improving inter-Korean ties and at the same time ensuring that the relationship is led by North Korea.
North Korea says it will not show up to the talks unless South Korea bans activists from launching anti-Pyongyang leaflets across the border. South Korea says it has no legal grounds to ban the activities of civic groups. While prospects for the second round of high-level talks remain cloudy, experts say that North Korea will not walk away completely. This as Pyongyang needs Seoul to end its international isolation and prop up its crippled economy. Trips around the globe by senior North Korean officials, including Foreign Minister Lee Soo-young's rare attendance at the United Nations General Assembly, had all proven unsuccessful.
Solve it. So they have only South Korea. That's a gateway for North Korea to get out of that. And also, maybe they have opened up the certain special economic zones. Maybe they want the South Korea's investment. So that's maybe.
While the tug-of-war between the two Koreas is not expected to end anytime soon, most experts say both parties will want to talk things out within this year. Hwang Sang-hee, Arirang News.
Now, the top defense and military brass from across the Asia-Pacific region are in the South Korean capital this week to share their thoughts and expertise on a range of issues at the annual Seoul Defense Dialogue. One topic that keeps on coming up is ways to re-engage with South Korea's unpredictable neighbor to the north. Our Kim Hyun-bin reports.
North Korea's balancing act between provocation and intent has never been as apparent as in recent weeks, with rounds of dialogue followed by cross-border shootouts. To better deal with the North Korea threat, senior defense officials and security experts from 24 countries, including the US, Japan, China, and Russia, are here in Seoul to take part in the third Seoul Defense Dialogue, hosted by the Ministry of National Defense. The three-day event, which runs through Friday, serves as a venue to enhance military trust and cooperation among nations in the Asia-Pacific, so they can better deal with security issues in the region.
Through earnest discussions between nations, we will try to resolve not only the Asia-Pacific region's conflicts, but also the world's through enhanced cooperation. I'm looking forward to the many key ideas that will be addressed here.
Reunification, military confidence building, and defense cooperation topped Thursday's agenda. Representatives from the United Nations, the European Union, and NATO were also on hand to provide insights.
That no region is alike, no countries are alike, and so what worked in one region may not work in another region. But it doesn't hurt to look at other regions to say what actually did work. Where do we have hotlines? Where do we have advance notification of maneuvers, for example. That is something that is not endemic to one region, but that's really endemic to something that could be a military cooperation. And that is something that we can learn from each other and that we can copy from each other.
The Seoul Defense Dialogue not only builds trust among countries in the Asia-Pacific region, it also creates consensus on the need for the unification of the Korean Peninsula. Kim Hyun-bin, ARIRANG News.
North Korea has told Japan that it intends to deepen its probe into the fate of Japanese citizens kidnapped by Pyongyang decades ago now. However, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said on Thursday that there was no indication of any imminent breakthrough on this matter. His remarks came after a high-level Japanese delegation recently returned to Tokyo after a rare visit to the North Korean capital. Abe said North Korea will go about its investigation from a new angle without sticking to the results of past probes. Japan has told Pyongyang that resolving the abductee issue is Tokyo's top priority. Pyongyang admitted back in 2002 to kidnapping 13 Japanese citizens in the 1970s and 80s, but many in Japan have suspicions the actual number could reach into the hundreds. Now, the new US ambassador to South Korea has officially taken up his post after arriving in the country late on Thursday. 41-year-old Mark Lippert has vowed to work closely with the South Korean government to deal with North Korea and also bolster three-way ties between Washington, Seoul and Tokyo. Our Kwon-soa reports.
Mark Lippert, Washington's newly appointed ambassador to South Korea, is now in Korea and held his first press briefing upon arrival Thursday evening.
안녕하십니까 여러분. Mark Lippert입니다. 반갑습니다. 주한미국 대사로 한국에서 일하게 되어서 아주 기쁩니다.
Speaking to reporters, he called the U.S.-South Korea relationship a very special one based on common values and interests. The 41-year-old and youngest ever U.S. ambassador to Seoul was nominated in May and confirmed last month to replace Sung Kim, whose three-year term ended this year. At the age of 32, Lippert became the foreign policy advisor to then-Senator Barack Obama and is considered to be one of President Obama's closest aides. Lippert's last post was Chief of Staff to Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel. Lippert is expected to focus on bolstering trilateral cooperation between the U.S., Korea, and Japan. Pentagon officials said he believes that security cooperation and historical disputes should be approached separately. Lippert is scheduled to begin his first official workday by presenting his credentials to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Friday and meeting with Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se. Kwon-soa, ARIRANG News.
Now, Korea's finance minister has tentatively appraised the early effects of recently implemented economic stimulus measures, saying they've given the recovery a much-needed jolt. In a letter to officials at his ministry, Choi Kyung-hwan likened the local economy to a car and the new measures as the key to start its engine. However, he stressed that much needs to be done, especially as the general public are yet to feel the effects in any tangible way. The finance minister also expressed some concerns that key economic bills could be held up at the National Assembly and that external market conditions are not particularly favourable. Che pledged to reinvigorate the economy by stimulating domestic consumption and corporate investment. The government is hosting its annual Foreign Investment Week in Seoul this week to promote investment opportunities here in Korea. The event aims to make the country a more attractive destination for foreign investors. Our Song Ji-son reports.
If you're interested in investing in Korea, this week may be a good time to start, as Korea's Trade Ministry is holding its annual Foreign Investment Week. Over 300 foreign investors from 22 different countries are visiting this country for this occasion, including investment chiefs of global companies like Boeing and General Electric. Nearly $60 million worth of contracts were signed on the first day of this year's Foreign Investment Week alone. Visitors were also introduced to prospective sectors that could benefit upon implementation of Korea's free trade deal with China and shown ways to incorporate Korea's advanced IT technologies into their businesses.
My focus is in the startup companies, high-tech startup companies. And if you take a look at a lot of the ideas and that are emerging from the Korean market, it's just incredibly amazing to see what the younger generation is starting to develop. The market's huge, and they're looking at opportunities going globally.
Seoul's Trade Ministry also hosted its annual Foreign Company Day event at COEX on Thursday, acknowledging the contributions of foreign companies to Korea's economic growth. Foreign direct investment accounts for 14% of the nation's GDP, with some 15,000 foreign companies recording sales of $1 billion. Minister Yoon Sang-jik reiterated the government's push to cater to foreign investors.
The Korean government aims to attract the regional headquarters and research and development centers of multinational companies. We will lift excessive regulations across all ministries to facilitate foreign direct investment.
At this year's event, Corning received the most prestigious Gold Tower Order of Industrial Service Merit for investing an accumulated $2.5 billion and creating jobs for over 3,000 employees, while at the same time helping Korea earn its reputation as world's leading display maker. 송지선, 아리랑 뉴스.
Now, lines started forming from late last night outside smartphone shops around Korea, as today, October 31st, is the official launch date of Apple's iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus here in Korea. Customers who already pre-ordered the devices will be the first in Korea to get their hands on these highly anticipated phones. You can see people waiting there. Industry watchers say the first round of pre-orders for both models on mobile carriers, SK Telecom, KT and LGU Plus, were filled in less than 30 minutes last Friday. Prices start at roughly $750 for the iPhone 6 and around $875 for the larger iPhone 6 Plus. Well, it's time now for a look through the global headlines we're following on this Friday morning here in Seoul. For that, we turn to our Eunice Kim, standing by the news center. Good morning, Eunice.
And good morning to you, Mark. The World Bank has pledged to invest another $100 million to get urgently needed health workers to West African countries with the highest infection rates. That brings the bank's total pledges to fight Ebola to date to $500 million. Earlier this week, World Bank President Jim Young Kim had said that at least 5,000 trained health workers were urgently needed to help staff and run the treatment centers being built in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. Even as the WHO expressed cautious optimism of progress in Liberia, the outbreak is reaching areas in and around Sierra Leone's capital. The country's top anti-Ebola official, Alfred Paulo Conte, urged citizens to refrain from touching the sick or the dead. He also welcomed incoming assistance in the form of beds, helicopters, and military personnel, but warned the help was months too late and that the crisis situation was going to get worse before it gets better. Grounds considered holy by both Muslims and Jews alike has emerged as a site of fresh clashes between Palestinians and Israelis. On Thursday, Israeli police shot dead a 32-year-old Palestinian man who was suspected of hours earlier shooting and wounding a far-right Jewish activist. That activist had led a campaign calling for Jews to be allowed to pray at the compound known as the Al-Aqsa Mosque by Muslims and Temple Mount by Jews. Israeli police also closed down the compound the first time in 14 years. It was this shuttering that Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas condemned as a declaration of war. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu urged calm over stoking unrest. And in a rare break in silence on his personal matters, Apple CEO Tim Cook has come out to say he is proud to be gay. The first such public acknowledgement came in an essay published by Bloomberg Businessweek. In it, he said he considered being gay among God's greatest gifts and that he thought it worthwhile to trade off his own privacy if it meant comforting or inspiring others who are struggling with their own identities.
that a team of South Korea...
Get connected to Korea and the world. Join us every weekday for the latest developments out of Korea, Asia, and beyond. On air, on your mobile, and online, we lead the way every day. ARIRANG News.
To try and resolve the crisis in Ukraine, the European Union also offers $15 billion. Now, Korea is a dynamic and relatively wealthy country, but yet another report has emerged that shows people living here are far from happy with the quality of their lives. Based on a life satisfaction survey by the Pew Research Center, Koreans are less satisfied than people in China and Vietnam, with just 47% of respondents saying they were relatively content. Latin Americans had the highest level of life satisfaction, with Mexico, Venezuela and Brazil all near the top of the list. Egypt scored the lowest, with just 11%. The survey was conducted on more than 47,000 adults in 43 countries between March and June this year. Riding on the crest of the Korean wave and particularly popular Korean TV series, or as they're known here, drama series, an increasing number of Chinese couples are coming to the country to get a uniquely Korean touch to their pre-wedding photos. Our Connie Kim reports.
Making a reservation at this wedding planning company is not a Korean couple, but Chinese to-be-weds who came to Korea for a photo shoot package. This Chinese couple will select their wedding dress and tux, get their hair and makeup done, and get their wedding photos taken. And they'll do it all in just 3 days.
After seeing actress Chun Ji-hyun in the drama My Love from the Star, I got interested in Korean-style makeup. As I was preparing for my wedding, I thought it would be meaningful for us as a couple to come to Korea and get our wedding photos taken here.
Bride-to-be Yao says she is thrilled to experience some of the high-quality services Korea's wedding industry has to offer, even if it comes with a price tag that is 3 to 4 times higher than in China. Despite the high cost of photo shooting packages for Chinese couples here, the nation's wedding industry is seeking to attract more would-be newlyweds from China, seeking a Korean touch to their once-in-a-lifetime experience. The craze for a high-quality taste of Korea's wedding industry has led to an explosive growth in recent years. One of Korea's largest wedding planning companies says it has shot wedding photos for nearly 790 Chinese couples this year alone, a major jump from the 5 it had in 2007. And as more companies cater to what Chinese couples are looking for, Korea's wedding industry is set to leap forward.
With the popularity of Korean dramas, Chinese couples want their wedding photos to be exactly like Korean celebrities' photo shoots. They look for backgrounds with tall skyscrapers or sets that show they are in Korea.
Many wedding studios now have translators on hand to help lure even more Chinese couples looking for specialized Korean wedding services. Connie Kim, ARIRANG News.
Korea's traditional houses, known as hanok, were once thought to be consigned to the past, but a growing number of Koreans are now choosing hanok over, say, a high-rise apartment in the city. Home buyers are gravitating towards hanok as they are increasingly being fitted with sleek, modern interiors to go with their unique exterior beauty. Our Park Ji-won reports.
Hangyang-han is a gallery cafe that opened last year in central Seoul. The cafe features a traditional Korean exterior and modern interior designs. For its unique traditional beauty, it received the Best Hanok Award earlier this month from the nation's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. Kim Hyung-woo, the French-trained architect and owner of the gallery, says he blended modern construction materials while maintaining the unique beauty of Korean hanok.
I tried to give traditional Korean architecture a more modern feel that fits the modern lifestyle. I blended modern materials to create modern spatial beauty in the traditional house. I think traditional Korean architecture can be reinterpreted in an infinite number of ways.
The number of hanok houses in the nation has risen to about 100,000, nearly double the number from just 6 years ago. Due to their rise in popularity, SH Corporation, The public urban development company for the Seoul metropolitan area has created a new hanok village in northern Seoul that caters to individual buyers. A few months after going on the market, about 85% of the 156 lots available had been already sold.
Unlike modern apartments, hanok is built in an eco-friendly way due to its construction materials, such as rocks, red clay, and trees. So people concerned about their health and allergies tend to show more interest in hanok these days.
Combining the eco-friendly and aesthetic strength of traditional Korean housing elements with the comforts of modern living, hanok houses these days strike a balance for the best of both worlds. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
And TGI Friday, everyone, as we kick things off with the speed skating national team trials, which is currently taking place at the National Training Center in Taenong. And for Park Seung-hee, who won 2 gold medals in short track at the Sochi Winter Games, made a speedy transition to speed skating. Now, after deciding to switch over to speed skating, the former short track star finished second in the 1,000-meter event and qualified to be a part of the national team. This comes after just 2.5 months since switching over to speed skating, as Lee Sang-hwa finished just ahead of her in the event. And now shifting gears to the KBO, where Game 3 of the best-of-5 series between the Nexen Heroes and the LG Twins took place last night at Jamsil Stadium, with the series tied 1-1. And of course, going to the game here, second inning of the game, Kang Jong-ho at bat to straightaway center field. No doubt about it, a solo shot puts the Nexen Heroes up 1-0. But that lead is increased to 5-0 thanks to a 4-run fifth, thanks to Park Dong-won's 2-run double to right. Once again, the Nexen Heroes bullpen holds the lead here as the Heroes win Game 3 6-2 and are 1 win away from heading to the Korean Series. And now moving over to Japan this time, where the SoftBank Hawks faced off against the Hanshin Tigers in the 2014 Japan Series, with SoftBank 1 win away from claiming the title. And with Korea's Lee Dae-ho going 2 for 4 in the game, the SoftBank Hawks barely hang on to win 1-0, claiming the Japan Series title, with Lee Dae-ho winning his first championship in his professional career. Despite a great postseason for Oh Seung-hwan, the Hanshin Tigers finished second as the two Koreans failed to face off during the entire series. Now, staying in baseball, if you're a Lotte Giants fan in the KBO, you're probably not so happy with all the rumors of mutiny amongst the players. But if you're a fan of the San Francisco Giants, well, chances are you're still celebrating the latest World Series win. With the 2014 World Series between the Kansas City Royals and the San Francisco Giants going to Game 7, Madison Bumgarner, who's been unhittable this postseason, comes into relief after just 2 days rest to pitch 5 shutout innings and helps the Giants hold on to their 3-2 lead. With the Giants winning their 3rd title in 5 years, the lefty capped off an incredible 2014 postseason, winning both the NLCS MVP and the World Series MVP while pitching a record 52 2/3 innings. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Well, we've been seeing on and off sprinkles here in Seoul since early this morning, but some areas are receiving heavy showers, and about 10 to 40 millimeters of showers are expected for the central region, where down south we'll see up to 60, and this rain could be accompanied by thunder and lightning, which is likely to persist till Sunday. And this morning was relatively milder than past days, but afternoon highs will be cooler today, remaining below 20 degrees degrees Celsius as the daily highs. Here in the capital in Gwangju will only make it to 16, while Daegu and Busan will peak at 17 and 18 respectively. Now for other regions, Jeju Island and Dokdo will see highs of 20 and 18, while Daejeon peaks at 17. And it seems like this shower will bring a chill to the air on Sunday. The same temperature will persist all day long, and first week of November will kick off under very cold conditions. Well, that's all for Korea, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Have a fabulous day or night wherever you're watching us. And I'm Mark Broome, and I'll be back with Ojinju at noon Korea time. Until then, goodbye.